Written by A.R. Williams. Many years ago, the ancient Egypt was ruled by a young teenage ruler known as Tut. His death was recorded before 3,300 years ago. Once, once his tomb was discovered, nobody knew that what had happened to him. But most of them believe that it is because the extreme possibility for his death is of murder. Howard Carter is a British archaeologist who discovered the Tut's tomb in 1922, and he found out a lot many things such as undergarments, cases of food and wine, and a lot many things. Then he began to excavate the three-nested coffins of Tut. He found among that, in the first one, he found a red shroud which was decorated with olive leaves and a lot many flowers. The ritual raisins that were poured on the mummy cemented that to the bottom of the coffin. Therefore, his body couldn't be taken out. So they heated the mummy in 149 degrees Fahrenheit in the blazing sunshine for a long time. Then also it couldn't be moved. So he thought that something had to be done. So otherwise he thought that the thieves would deceive the guards and they would steal all the things such as rings, amulets, inlaid necklaces, bracelets, ceremonial aprons, sandals, sheaths for his fingers and toes, icona in a coffin and mask, which was all made of pure gold. So he decided to cut the Tut's body into pieces and took his head separately for a scan and again reassembled them to put him in a box. Anatomy professor also excavated the Tut's body, which discovered a startling fact that his front ribs and breastbones were missing out. Then the death of Tut is really a very big event. He was the last heir of his family. He died in the age of 19 years. After his death, the dynasty broke out rapidly. Amenhotep IV is the grandfather of Tut, who ruled for about 40 years. It was considered to be the golden period. And next comes Amenhotep IV, who Tut's mummy reopened a new chapter of human civilization that brought into the light 18th dynasty or golden age. Tut's grandfather was Amenhotep IV, who ruled for 40 years. His period was considered to be the golden age, and he was succeeded by Amenhotep III, whose ruling was considered to be one of the most strangest periods in human history. He promoted the worship of sun god, and he smashed the image and idols of Lord Amun, and he went a little wacky. And after that comes Menkaure, who is a mysterious ruler who ruled for some time and then made an exit. After that comes Tut, who is known as Tentacamun, who changed his name from Tentacaten to Tentacamun. He was keen to restore the old ways of his grandfather, and he was keen to promote the restoration of old ways of his grandfather. He ruled for 9 years, and after his death, the dynasty fell rapidly. The ancient mummy Egyptian project so far have founded 600 mummies and is still counting. That is the first mummy to be CT scanned in death and as well as life. Scanned from head to toe, creating 1,700 digital X-rays in order to study its intricate structures and to study the Tut's body in detail. The scan took place till night, and 2 men were asked to bring from out of his tomb and put him in a box. And after 20 minutes later, 2 men were asked to bring up the plastic fans, but the plastic fans didn't work well because sand went into it. The guard joked nervously that it is because of the curse of the pharaoh. Then afterwards the substitute fans worked well. Sahiva smiled and he said that everything was fine, no data had been lost, and he hasn't slept for the past 3 days, and now he is free, and therefore he could sleep properly. At the entrance of the Tut's tomb, the constellation of Orion, that is the soul of the Osiris, that is the god of that is the god of afterlife, stood over there by watching over the king boy. Thank you. When I read this chapter, I felt that it actually focuses mainly on the history, and it tells about so many things about the past, and therefore it reopens the history of a king, and it also tells about the medical examinations and murder mystery of this king. But the book Hornbill, which tells about the chapter 3, discovering that the saga continues. It is like I felt like a detective story. I felt like reading a detective story.